Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal News Show. Joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing well. Thank you as always, everybody, for tuning in. It is very much appreciated. I hope you've had a good weekend. I hope you're ready to start a brand new week. And of course, with a brand new week comes the end of the international break very soon. And with the weekend, at the end of this week, of course, comes the return of Premier League football. Thank goodness it is back. It's such a relief to have Premier League football back in our lives very, very soon indeed. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time because we've got lots to do today. Good morning to Matt G, to Johnny, to Blackshine, to Barry, to Trevor, to Rich, Justin. Good morning to Paul. Good morning to David, Wesley, Jimbo, Marcus, Stephen, Nav, Louis, Gary. Plenty more of you guys as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It is very much appreciated. I hope that, as I said, that you've had a good weekend. You feel rested and recovered. I don't, because I have had about 5 hours sleep and not great sleep. I was picking the missus up from a busted concert last night. I didn't go. Don't worry. I have not sold my soul. About 1 a.m. and then I had to take family members to work at 5 a.m. it's not been it's not been good. It's not been good. And as you can probably see from my face, I'm quite burned from yesterday as well. So and that's not just on my face. So I'm sensitive, I'm burned, I'm tired, but I'm ready to deliver you the news today. So let's, without further ado, crack on with today's show. First of all, I thought I'd share with you this fantastic story that Declan Rice told about his first day at Arsenal. If you've not read this, it's great. If you've read this already, it's worth reading again. But Declan Rice, speaking to Tubes, who of course was formerly on Soccer AM, said that I was a bit nervous talking about his first day. The first day I was down there on the Sunday, the lads weren't in. I came out of the physio room and Mikel Arteta, just like little things he does, he put like a sticker on me saying, "Hello, I'm the new person." He just walked in and put it on my chest. All the 18s and 21s in the canteen, and I'm walking through trying to hide my chest. Just little things like that. You may remember, people, a leaked image of Declan Rice with a badge on his chest. That was real. That was a very real image, and this story certainly proves that. Continuing, he said on Arteta, he's top. A really, really top guy on and off the pitch. I think on the pitch you can see tactically what he tries to do and how good he is, and then off the pitch, he's a really top guy. He did make reference to the badge thing as being something like the In-Betweeners. If you're not familiar with the In-Betweeners and you're not from inside the UK, you may not be aware of it. I don't know how globally it's spread. I know the US did like their own spin on it, but basically in the first episode of the series, Will, who's kind of this kid who's just like a prime target for bullies, basically gets given like a badge to say that he's the new kid at school, and it's like, oh, nice badge. So Declan called basically the comparison there, which I think is great, hilarious, great story. But football friends, really good stuff. Hansi Flick has been sacked as head coach of the German national side with just under a year to go until Euro 2024, and it's quite a significant step by the German FA. 4 wins out of 17 games is not good enough, and this has got me thinking about the question about what this means for Kai Havertz, what this means for his future in the national side, because he has been leaned heavily on by Flick as their centre forward, and a new coach coming in with a favourite being at the moment Julian Nagelsmann, as you would probably consider him being the obvious candidate to be the takeover of Hansi Flick, and I think probably the best choice they could make. I've seen some suggest that Sammer might be the better option, but to me, with my limited knowledge on German football, you'd think it would be Nagelsmann. Does this mean that Kai Havertz could indeed leave the starting position? Will he be overlooked because of his poor form at Chelsea, and now, of course, a not so great start to life at Arsenal? We will have to wait and see. But Hansi Flick gave Kai a lot of opportunities. It'll be intriguing now to see whether or not the next coach also gives him an opportunity to play. Jakub Kiwior scored in Poland's 2-0 defeat to Albania. Now, you must be thinking, hold on, if it was a defeat, how did he score? Well, sadly, his goal was ruled out for offside. And so, frustratingly, it didn't end up counting. Very offside, very close to being onside, but very, very tight decision. But the right decision was ultimately made in the end. And so, he can't really have too many complaints about that. But Kiwior getting plenty of minutes. He played left back once again. And he's getting time playing in that left back role for club and country. Yeah, I think that this is clearly kind of a plan that for the player and for his club and country, where this is going to be something we see moving forwards a lot more. He has played well at left back for Poland. I've spoken to a couple of friends of mine who support the Polish national side and have said that he's done well. You know, it's not been perfect. He can still improve, but he is doing well playing in that left back position. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how Kiwior develops at Arsenal. He was always going to be a player that raised a few question marks, especially with the price tag of around £20 million. And also the fact that, you know, we've got a lot of players that are already clear starters in those positions at left centre-back in Gabriel and at left-back in Zinchenko and previously Tierney as well. But I think he's done really well in some of his performances, and I think he's a bit underrated amongst the fan base. So I'm excited to see more minutes with Kiwior in the side. And speaking of Gabriel, despite those fears of injury, Gabriel has indeed trained with the national team. He came off in the game against, I believe it was Bolivia, received heavy strapping to that kind of left thigh, was icing it, and after received a bit of a blow in the first 5 minutes. But yeah, certainly, I think Gabriel being available for training is the biggest indication that we've got that he is fine. There's not an injury to worry about, and hopefully, touch wood, there aren't any injuries to worry about for any of our players as this international break comes to a close. Right, let's go to the chat box and your questions in part 2 for the Q&A right after this. Right then, we're going to go into the chat box for about 10 minutes before we do something we've never done before on this channel. So it's worth sticking around just to see if it works, really, because I can see there's nearly 800 of you in the chat. Every single one of the 800 of you that are watching live, you are going to be part of this exciting thing that we're going to do. So in 10 minutes, we'll be doing that. But for 10 minutes, we're going to take some of your questions first. Shlamed Jose, thank you so much for the kind donation. That's very, very kind and generous of you indeed. First time live, but always listen through Spotify 24/7. Well, thank you, my friends. I'm glad that you're enjoying the show on the audio platforms. I'm glad that you're enjoying the channel and that you're happy enough to leave a donation. That's very kind of you indeed, and thank you for listening. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Shalongo says, is it me or do I see Trossard playing the Xhaka position perfectly? He had played there before, and he played there, I think, in pre-season as well. So we know that Granit Xhaka operated really, really well in that role. Whether Trossard will do so in the future remains to be seen. He did start that game against Fulham. And I think when it comes to that centre-forward role, I really like Trossard there. I think he brings other players into play. I think the assists he got in that game, in that run of a few games, we got 7 assists in last season's spell at centre-forward before Jesus came back, was really impressive. Obviously, he got those 3 assists away at Fulham in a really fantastic performance by Arsenal. It was integral to, but he didn't have a good game against Fulham at home this season when he started. So it's difficult. Would he play better, deeper? I think that maybe that's a position that he'll gradually turn into as he progresses into his 30s, maybe. But for now, I still think that there's plenty to come from Trossard in a wider and centre forward role as well. Marcus says, Dr. Raj wants to discuss the benefits of suntan lotion on this week's Eat, Sleep, Arsenal Repeat show. Yeah, he might do after seeing my face, to be fair. It's very red, very red indeed. But I had a great time yesterday. We went to a water park for it was like an inflatable water obstacle course. It's full of I brought a load of friends from my university down for the weekend, and it was one of their birthdays, and it was just hilarious. Like, one of the best things in the world is when you get a group of adults doing activities that are designed for people like way younger than you. So like if you get those like places where you rent out soft play areas, obstacle courses, go-kart, all these types of things. It's hilarious when you get a group of adults that are like in their late 20s and older doing that, and we had a great time. Thank you, Shlamhead, once again for a super sticker. That's very kind of you indeed. Thank you. Steve, Tom, since Reece's game changer of the season goal has been watched on repeat so many times, which goals are your most watched of all time? That's a really good question, Steve. What goal do I think I've watched more than any other? I think that Nelson goal is certainly one that I've watched back a lot. I feel like over the past week, because of the international break, I've watched Gabriel Jesus's goal against Manchester United about 27 million times, mainly because of the fact that it's been edited so much with Diogo Dalot sliding back to Portugal, basically, how far he slid. It was an incredible bit of editing. He's gone it's amazing editing that's gone into those videos. And I think that has to be one of my most watched. Gabriel Jesus, absolutely fantastic. But the editing it's the one where it sends Diallo to space. Like it's like he's spinning off into the cosmos. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, without a doubt, I think that one has been the most watched of like the last year, even more so than the Nelson goal of all time. I think I've watched, and it's mad because I wasn't alive when it happened, but Thomas's goal against Liverpool in '89, I've watched that goal over and over and over and over again. And I love the commentary. I love the '89 documentary coverage of that goal. I've watched back that documentary so many times. So yeah, Bergkamp against Newcastle is a great one. Walcott against Chelsea is another great one. We kind of falls over. Not even falls over, but he kind of sweeps through the Chelsea defenders and finishes. And then also the goal he scored against Newcastle, where he does fall over and gets up and scores his hat trick. That goal I've seen so many times, so many incredible times. Giroud's scorpion kick. I had a Chelsea fan saying like the best volley that's ever been scored was what was the suggestion they gave? The best volley that had been scored. I can't remember what it was now, but they were like, this has got to be the best volley Arsenal have ever scored. And like it wasn't the scorpion kick for Giroud, which for me is the best volley I've ever seen. A lot of people suggested Robin van Persie's against Charlton, which obviously everybody knows. I think Robin van Persie's against Everton with the long ball over the top and then kind of that the way he cuts across the ball and it goes into the far corner off the post. That's one of the best volleys I've ever seen. Thierry Henry, obviously, where he flicks the ball up, spins and smashes it in against Manchester United. Another amazing volley. There's been so many amazing volleys that I can't remember what the goal was. That it was the tweet. Was it Wilshere against West Brom? I don't think that it was. I can't remember what the volley goal was. But yeah, Tony Adams against Everton as well. Another amazing goal of Arsenal. It was Ozil's goal against Newcastle. Thank you, Louis. Yeah, it was Ozil's goal. I was there for that game. I was in the front row of the North Bank after having knee surgery, and there's like no leg room in the front row behind the goal in the North Bank, and I was sat in the worst possible seat. I was in so much pain that I had to move at half time. I swapped seats with somebody because I was in so much pain. But yeah, great questions, and it's always good to kind of hark back to some of the things that we've seen. Let's scroll up because I'm sure there were some other questions that have now been taken over by all these suggestions of volleys. Wesbird says Dallo was on the same water slide as I was yesterday. He was, except I completely messed up the slide section. So like it's kind of connected all these different obstacles, and there's like a long section which you're designed to slide on. And I had a wetsuit on, which is like the least slippery thing in the world. Like if you try and slide on a wetsuit, you just stop because the friction is so incredible. So I launched myself with a life jacket on and just landed on my side and just didn't move. And I was so sure I'd cracked a rib at the time. It was the most painful thing. Justin says, Arteta has already transformed our club and the careers of some of our players. Is it time for fans to trust the process we've already made? Havertz will come good. Look, Justin, I think at this stage, if people aren't trusting what Arteta's doing, they're lost causes. I just don't think that... I don't know what more. I suppose winning the league But I mean, what we've done so far, if you're not trusting where Arsenal are going under this coach right now, I don't know what to say. Krosh says, Tom, do you think Mary Ertz will now stay with Man United as she wants Champions League football? Sadly, potentially, yeah. Arsenal looked in a really good position to sign Mary Ertz, but being knocked out of the Champions League is so gutting. And by the way, can I just say, I had a few people leave comments on yesterday's video saying, can you refer to them as Arsenal women and not Arsenal? And to that I say, can you get in the bin? Because grow the hell up. Like, they're Arsenal. Arsenal's Arsenal. You know, I don't call the men's team Arsenal men, you know, and so, you know, for me, I don't know about the people leaving these comments, but I kind of value men and women equally. So, you know, I'm going to just call them Arsenal at the same time. We'll talk about the player specifically. You'll know who I'm talking about. But goodness me, the fact that it bothered someone that much, they took time out of their day to leave a comment saying, can you call them Arsenal women, please? It's just like, it's just lost, absolutely lost cause. Lost causes, there really are. Tom says, I still love the Tierney goal in the snow. It was against West Brom. That goal was gorgeous. Cutting inside, right foot, curling effort. We scored another great goal in that game. I think it was Smith Rowe. I think it's like a really good bit of interplay on the right wing, and then the ball comes across and Smith Rowe taps it in. That was another fantastic goal as well. So, yeah. Jack says, do you think Nelson has a bigger part to play for us this season? I was surprised to see him come on instead of Trossard against United, but he looks sharp. Love the show, mate. Thanks, Jack. Yeah, I think Nelson has got a really important part to play. I think Arsenal really will be in a position whereby they'll have opportunities to bring Nelson on and create a bit of chaos. I do also think we're in a position where we'll have Champions League games, we'll have Carabao Cup games, and Nelson will get an opportunity in those games as well. Philip says, calling a woman is not sexist. That's not what I'm saying. Goodness me. It's the detachment from reality. It's the lack of common sense that I sometimes see, sadly, that bleeds into the minds of our fans, sadly, at some stages. Right. We are reaching that 20 past mark. So let's go and do what I said we were going to tease at the start of the show. So we're going to be doing what we're calling our first TGT raid. Now, you've probably seen that the Gooners pods are currently doing a 27-hour live stream. And because of that, we're in a position whereby what we're going to do is we're going to jump over. So in a couple of minutes, we're going to jump over to that show. I'm going to take two more questions, two more comments. And what we'll do is then we're going to hop over. Matt G says, did you see Kiwior's goal? That wasn't a goal. That could have been a goal if it wasn't for VAR, so it wasn't a goal. Matt, you're just messing with me now. He scored and then it was cancelled out. So, you know, it is what it is. Take it as is. Maximus says, I don't understand what's wrong with calling them Arsenal women's team. They did play in the Women's Champions League qualification. Yes, but again, you're missing the point. It's not, if you want to call them Arsenal women, I've no problem with people wanting to call them Arsenal women. That's absolutely fine. What I have a problem with is people leaving a comment on my video that it offends them so much that I referred to the Arsenal women's team as just Arsenal. If you think that I'm saying that you can't call them the Arsenal women's, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm going to call them Arsenal. And if people have a problem with me calling them just Arsenal, you can get in the bin. That is what I'm saying. If it bothers you that much that I referred to the Arsenal women's team as just Arsenal without tagging the word women on the end of it, that you have to take time out of your day to leave me a comment to tell me that you would prefer if I referenced them as just Arsenal women rather than just Arsenal. That's the problem. That's the issue, Maximus. And that's the issue that you've skipped over with that comment. If you want to call them Arsenal women, that's fine. But do not tell me how I should reference the team. If I want to call Arsenal women just Arsenal, I'm going to do that because that's what they are. Because Arsenal is all in the same to me. Right, let's go to our raid, shall we? Before we get any crazy comments, what we're going to do is you're going to go to the link in the description, and you are going to click on that link, and it's going to take you over to the Gooners pod. When you get over to the Gooners pod, you are then going to write in the comment section, I came here because of TGT, or TGT sent me here. Something that's not abusive. that relates to TGT. This is what we're going to do. We're trying to get as many of you, there's nearly 1,000 of you now. We're going to try and move you over because we're going to go and support the Gooners pod in their amazing cause to try and help Gooners versus cancer. That's what we're going to do. So it's a fantastic cause. We're going to go and support it now. I'm going to be over there in the stream. So let's lift it up and move it over to the Gooners pod. I will see you over there in just a quick second. And up the Arsenal. Always got to remember that. Always got to remember that one.